Moving on to green, we have an interesting card here. Altanak the Trice-Call. 5 green for a 9/9 trample. When it becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, draw a card. You can pay 1 green and discard it to return target land card from the graveyard to tap. And there is actually a card that fetches up this. We're gonna get to that card later. But this card seems great. I mean, it's a 7-mana 9/9 trample with a bunch of upsides. And trample is exactly the keyword you want on a big creature. And it even has the fail case. If you get a land at your yard somehow with some self-mill, you can even ramp, and then you get rid of this. But it seems like a B in the right deck. You want a little bit of ramp. You want to be able to fetch this, but this is the kind of card that it's not that embarrassing just to cast rate up. And it has additional ways to abuse it too. And it has protection in some sense. You get to 2 for 1 if your opponent kills it. So it's like a B. Good start. Entropy. So you're green for 3/4 reach, because every green creature has reach. This is just kidding. When it enters, you may discard a card or pay 2 when you do destroy target room. Ooh, I mean, destroying your rooms are nice. They're sometimes gonna do stuff before, but you won't say no to do that sometimes, especially if your opponent's got one of those with like a. They are planning on unlocking both rooms, and then this could be pretty good. I think we're looking at a C though. I mean, a 3/4 reach for 4 is not that insane these days, but yeah, that extra ability is nice. I think still it's just a C. You don't want to play too many of these, but I think it's a good card to have access to one of at least. Balustrade Worm, 3 green for a 5/5. It can't be countered, has trample and haste. And Delirium, you return it with a finality counter on it. Wow, so like an awesome card. It's like a Sharding Monstrosaur with some extra ability. And the nice card about this is if you play this, trade it off, the game goes on, then you get it back with haste. It's pretty sick, and that just happens naturally. So there's no good way out of this. I think it's a A- level card. Your opponent can't even counter it. Not when you cast it and not when you bring it back, because it's an ability. Pretty sick card and kind of annoying design, to be honest. Bashful Beastie, 4 green for 5/4, Dice Manifest Dread. Seems solid. I mean, a 5/4 for 5 is not great, but you are getting a 2/2 with upside. And at that point in the game, you're going to be more likely to flip up the card. So I think we're looking at a C, maybe C+. I think I'm going to start C because it is a 5-drop. And sometimes you're going to hit like a small creature and a land. But it's a card I could definitely see play. Break down the door. 2 green, choose 1, exile an artifact, exile an enchantment, or manifest dread. Alright, none of these modes are exciting, but it is a very flexible card in that it's like an disenchant, but when that's not good, you can make a slightly better 2/2. I think I would main deck this card. I wouldn't be super excited about it, but I think it's about a C. And it's a kind of card that's also very good in some matchups where you can like get some expensive Eerie card. You know what? I think I'm going to give it a C+ just because of how many Eerie cards, enchantment creatures I saw. So then it's like almost like a green Terminate that you can make a 2/2. So I think I'm going to give it a C+ after thinking about it a little bit more. Also against red, they have a lot of artifacts, creatures. Cataric Partner. 1 green, the owner of target artifact or enchantment and opponent control shuffles into your library. You may shuffle up to 4 target cards when you give it into your library. This one is way worse because doesn't have a manifest dread clause, and but still, if break down the door is playable, this one is so. But this one is worse. I think it's a C, where the breakdown run I game up to C+ because that's also an instant, which is big. This one is just okay. But shuffle up to 4 cards means that it's going to be harder for you to get decked. So that could be kind of sweet. It just doesn't fit very well with the other mode, though. Because the other mode is sort of like a sideboard thing and then the shuffling. So, it's a C, though. It's harder to loop 2 of those because you need a target to want to do it. Cautious Survivor, 3 green for 4/4, survival, you gain 2 life. Seems fine, not very great. I mean, gaining 2 life is nice, but it's not like that's gonna be decide the game. Seems like a C-, honestly. Coordinated Clobbering, green mana for a sorcery. Tap one or two target untapped creature you control. Each deal damage equal to the power to target creature opponent control. Nice. I mean, it's not necessarily better than hard-hitting questions or these like 1 mana bites, because you have to tap your creatures, which means that you can block with them. But on the flip side, you get to have survival on. So this could be better or worse than that. And then you also get to do it with 2 creatures. Seems like a C plus though. And in a survival deck, you can even bump it up to B minus. Because if you get some extra value on top, that's kind of nice. Cryptid Inspector, 2 and a green for a 2/3 vigilance. Whenever a face down permanent you control enters, whenever this is faced up, this gets a counter. Yeah. If I got a bunch of Manifest Dread, I can maybe talk myself into playing it, but I wouldn't be excited about it. A 3 mana 2/3 that will grow to a 3/4 after like 1 or 2 turns. It's not that exciting. I think it's like a D plus. Defiant Survivor, 2 again for 3/2 survival, you manifest dread. So this is way better than the 4/4 because I'd rather get a 2/2 than gain 2 life. So this seems like a C plus. I just don't think you're gonna get to do this that often, but when you do, it's gonna be great. So C plus, maybe B minus if you got enough ways to tap this, because getting a bunch of 2/2s can be pretty good. Problem is that a 3 mana 3/2 is so bad if you don't get to do the thing. Enduring Vitality, 1 green for a 3/3 vigilance. Creature you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, and then when it dies, it comes back. Really good card, because a 3 mana 3/3 that makes all your creatures into mana dorks is really nice. You can play this and then maybe immediately use some of your other creatures cost a 2-drop. And then when this trades off, you're still left with a bunch of extra mana. I think it's worse than the white one, but slightly better than like the blue one. I think it's a B minus. But kind of nice. Sometimes this ability is not going to do anything, but you are not overpaying by so much. And it's nice to have Vigilance and a Mana Dork in the same package. Fear of Exposure. 2 green for a 5/4. As an additional cost to cast this spell, tap 2 untapped creatures and or lands you control. It has trample. So this is a card that works nice with Manifest Dread. And it also works nice with Survival. So it's kind of like a double synergy card, like a glue card. And if you play this on turn 4, tapping one of your creatures, it's not even that bad. I think this is a good card. I think it's like a B minus, just because I think that a green deck's gonna either have Manifest Dread, where you can flip this up as a 5/4 as a surpriser, or you're gonna have Survival. So I think it's hard for a green deck not to have good use for this card. I think it's a B minus. Flesh Burrower, 1 green for 2/2, Death Touch. When it attacks another creature you control, gains Death Touch until end of turn. I think this is one of the best one of these we've seen, these attack cards, because a 2/2 Death Touch for 2 is one of the best bodies we've seen on those types of cards. And this one also attacks with impunity and gives something else Death Touch. The only question is how aggressive green are, but I think this is actually a C plus. I think this is sneakily a good card because it's a 2/2 Death Touch that trades for everything. And then later in the game you start sending in. This helps enable your attack. You can target a survival creature that then your opponent has to like trade for. So I think it's a C plus. Seems like a good card in a lot of scenarios. Frantic Strength. Not Frantic Search. 2 and a green for 2/2 flash. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has trample. Alright, we've seen this card before. They're always fine. Don't think green has a big eerie component to it, but I guess it could be good with survival. You attack with your survival creature, they kind of feel forced to block, and then you get to do this. I still think it's just a C minus, but I can see it doing some work in survival decks. Not survival of the fittest. Grasping Long Neck. We have a creature here. Not a spider though. 2 and a green for a 4/2 reach. When it dies, you gain 2 life. Yeah. 4/2s for 3 are mediocre, even if they have reach and a die trigger, and it's an enchantment. I still don't think it's better than a C minus. Still, C minus seems like a good grade though, because it's not a card I'm super embarrassed to play. It's just that I'm not excited about it. We have green's first room here. It's called Greenhouse. How fitting. 2 and a green. Lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Not good in limited. Probably not even good in constructed. Rickety Gaze Boo, Fino Green. When you unlock this store, mill 4 cards and return up to 2 permanent cards from among them to your hand. Alright, so you are up a card, but you have to spend 4. You have to take permanents. You can't take a removal spell. And the greenhouse does not do much. Maybe this enables a 5-color deck, but you are either having to pay the 4 mana clunky version first, or play 3 mana for a card that does nothing. I think this card could be playable. I would mostly give this a D, but if you are some sort of 4-color green brew, this could be the card you want. You can even play the greenhouse first, and then you're getting the card back later. So I think it's a build around C+ in some sort of green 4-color deck. Or Dirtle deck. Hauntwood's Shriek, 1 green for a 3/3. When it attacks, you manifest Dread, so that could run away with the game. If nothing else, you're gonna get at least 1 trigger, probably. You can play it 1 green real, target face down permanent. If it's a creature card, you may turn it face up. So you basically can flip up the manifest Dread cards for 2 mana, even if they cost like 6. This is a good card. I'm not sure how sick it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be blocked by the first possibility. But it is the kind of card that works nice with like Fanatic Strength, combat tricks. Maybe give this indestructible somehow. I think it's a B. It's not like the Mythic Bomb that's like one of the most absurd cards, but it's gonna have a range. It can perform as an A, but it can also be just like a C. C+, because it's just a lot of the time it's just gonna be a 3/3 that you get a 2/2. And the ability can be pretty nice though. So I'm gonna give it a B, but I wouldn't expect this to be like a game-winning bomb all the games, you know. Next up we have a green vehicle here. It's 2 GG for a 5/5 crew 1, so that's almost playable. I mean, there are some spots I could even see playing a 5/5 4-mana crew 1 vehicle. When it attacks, you may mill 2 cards. When one or more land cards are put into your grave from the library, put them into the battlefield tap. So that ability is nice, but it's not like some absurd thing. But you are getting the card back in form of a land. So I kind of like this card. I think it's good. It's probably going to be at its best when you get like Delirium, because you are also milling other cards too. I think we're looking about a B-, a good card, but not like a game-breaking card, because I don't think the ability to get a land back is gonna like be super good, but you'll take it. It's more like a little bit of extra grave. I think it's a playable card. I think Crew 1 is so cheap that it seems decent. Horrid Vicar, 1 green for an instant. Target against Death Touch Indestructible. Oh, that's the kind of card I want with the Hauntwood Shriek. Could also work nice with Hedge Shredder too. Seems decent. I mean, Death Touch and Indestructible is a very good combo. It doesn't give any bumps, but Death Touch makes up for that. This is not the kind of card that's gonna, if you attack and put this on an unblockable creature to win the game, so it's not that kind of a pump spell. It does protect against some removal spell. I think we are looking at a C though. It's good, but I much prefer like a Snakeskin Veil type card to leave something behind. House Cartographer, 1 green for 2/2, survival. If it is tapped, you reveal cards from top of your library and reveal a land, put it into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library. Yeah, I mean, if you cast this on turn 2 and get an attack in, you get the trigger. Sometimes it's just gonna trade off. I think we're looking at a C+. C+ seems good for this card, because a lot of the games just gonna be a 2-mana 2/2, but because it's not the kind of card you can cash in for a land. But if you want blocks this and kill it in combat, not get the land. But there are some games you're gonna have other ways to tap your creature, and you're gonna get some really good value. So maybe like a B- if you've got a lot of ways to tap it. Insidious Fungus, green for a 1/2. You can pay 2 and sacrifice it to restore an artifact, enchantment, or draw a card and put a land into play tap. This card seems great. I mean, it's like a Haywire Might but there was a lot of artifact creatures and enchantment creatures in this set. And if nothing else, you get to do a little bit of exploring on a 1-2. You can bring it back, helps with Delirium. Seems like a B-. Good card. Kona Rescue Beastie, 300 green for 4-3. Survival. If it is tapped, you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. This is interesting. There are some games where that's not going to do much because you don't have anything good to put into play. Or you could have just cast a card. But then there's going to be some games where you tap this to some effect and you put like a 6-drop into play. Maybe the 7/7. I think this is another B-. Not a card that's like gonna break open all the games, but it's gonna have some good spots. And if nothing else, it's a 4-3 for 4. That's not the absolute worst. Leyline on Mutation. Can this one be good? 2 GG begins the game in play if you have an opening hand. You may pay Wooburg rather than pay the mana cost from the spells you cast. Nope, it's an F. Manifest Dread. Card that has the keyword from this set. 1 green Manifest Dread. So you're getting a 2/2 that you can maybe flip up. This is a card I think is going to be fine because it's a 2-mana 2/2 at worst. You may get some expensive card and then it's almost like that card has some sort of kicker effect. I think this card is a C+. Most of the Manifest Dread cards we've seen so far, it's 3 mana plus a little bonus. I think I prefer this one. Because this also puts a sorcery in your yard. Not that I've seen too many Delirium cards, but in green. But like if I'm red-green, I'm playing a card that puts a sorcery in my yard. I'm getting a 2/2, I might get it up. I might get some other Manifest Dread bones. I think it's a C+. And I think it's good. We have a room here. Moldering Gym, 200G. When you unlock this store, search level for basic land card, put in a model for tapped and shuffle. Okay, that seems better than the other one. Right Room, 500G. Whenever you unlock this store, Manifest Dread and put 3 +1/+1 counters on that creature. This card seems solid. It reminds me of that card from the Dance of the Tumbleweeds. It's a more expensive to do both things, but you can also play the gym first and then make a 5/5 with some upside. This card seems like a C though. Maybe C+. If you ramp and you want a fixer, I'm probably going to give it a C+. I think you could play it in most green decks. Monstrous Emergence, 100G. You bite or you reveal a card from your hand and that is that. Seems good. Because this makes up for the fact that sometimes you don't have a creature in play, you have some expensive creature in your hand, and you just do this instead. This seems like a C+. I think it's gonna be very close to a Doomblade, green Doomblade. Omnivore's Flytrap, 200G for 2/4. Delirium, whenever it enters attacks, you distribute 2 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures, which could be itself. Then if there are 6 or more card types among cards in your grave, double the number of +1/+1 counts on those creatures. So it's like super Delirium. You need 6 cards. That's very hard. You need like land, creature, instant, sorcery, enchantment, art. It's not impossible. I think this card is good because you can play it early without Delirium, and then once you do get to Delirium, you get to attack, put 2 counters on it or other stuff. It's not like the most overpowered card. I think it's about a B- type card, but I think it's good. And don't be afraid to just play this and have it sit around for a while. Don't be afraid to play it without Delirium, I should say, because eventually you will be able to get an attack in. So I wouldn't like not play this card forever if I didn't have Delirium. Overgrown Zealot. We have an uncommon here. 1 for 0/4. You tap to add 1 mana of any color. And you can tap to add 2 mana of any one color, and you can spend this mana only to turn permanents face up. That is a great card because I like a 2 mana 0/4 mana dork. I'd much rather have like an 0/4 than a 1/2 because I'm not looking to attack with them anyway. And then you're getting some extra mana to flip cards up. It seems like a C+. They've been a little down on the mana dorks lately, but they are still okay. Overlord of the Hauntwoods. We have the green impending card here. 3 GG for 6/5. And when it enters or attacks, it has impending 4 for 3 mana. When it enters or attacks, create a tapped colorless land token named everywhere. That's every basic land. I knew it was going to give you lands. Yeah, this one is weaker than the others, I think. I think it's the worst one. It's still not bad. A 6 mana 6/5 that ramps you. Taps for anything is good, but it's not very good to impending it. Because yes, you get the ramp, but you have to wait for the 6/5. This still seems good. I think it's like a B though. Alright, Patchwork Beastie. Green for a 3/3. Delirium can't attack or block unless there are 4 more cards or more cards in your graveyard. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may mill a card. Yeah. I think I like this card. You have to wait a little bit, but it also helps you to Delirium. So it's gonna be hard to not have Delirium like on turn 4 or 5, because you are playing other cards that give you Delirium. This is also an artifact creature, which means that if this goes to the graveyard some other way, it also helps you with Delirium. You're also kind of cute with Manifest Dread. You can Manifest Dread up this in combat, and then it's still attacking, so it doesn't stop it from attacking. So that's a really cute synergy. All in all, I think I like this card. I think it's a C+. It's not our absolute best, but it does help you enable it. And also, even once you get the Delirium attack with it, there are spots where you can just stay back with this and keep fueling your graveyard for maybe other stuff. So I like this card. C+, maybe even B- in the Delirium deck, because it also does double duty. Helping you get Delirium when it's in play, and if you mill it from other reasons. Root-wise Survivor. 3 GG for 3 for haste. Survival, put 3 counts on one land, it becomes a 0/0 land. Alright, I mean, haste is kind of sneaky. You can get this attack with this when your opponent didn't know it. You then get a 3/3. You can stack up more on the lands. It is funny that it gives the elemental haste when it has haste itself. I guess the idea is you play this, tap it for some other stuff, and then you can make it have haste. I don't know why this gives haste, because it's on the second main. Just, I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but in either case, I think this is a C+. It's slightly understated, so you need to get it to work. The haste factor does work. I'm not sure why it gives the land haste though, because it happened on the second main phase. Maybe so you can still tap it for mana during your opponent's turn. Yeah, maybe that's why. Because otherwise it would get summoning sickness. If you play that, very convoluted. You have to play that land that turn. Alright, anyway. Say its name. Breaking Bad here. On a source, you mill 3 cards, and you return a creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's not the milled cards only, it's all graveyards. And you can exile this card and 2 other cards named Say Its Name. So there you get the 9/9 card. This card is a common, which is important. If this was an uncommon, it would be almost impossible. But I like this card. It's like a Delirium enabler too. So if I'm Delirium and have a Atrax the free call, I'm gonna pick this card up out of C plus B minus, because it's so important to get all 3. And you can even mill other copies of this and it works still. And it's not a terrible call either way. It's like mill 3, get something, helps with Delirium. So it could be like a B minus C plus in a Delirium deck with a Trollsack. I could also see playing this without Altanak if I'm like Delirium. Then it's more like a C plus. We have the green land cycler here. Force GG for a 7/6 trample force cycler. It's one of the better ones. I mean, a 7/6 trampler is like a Colossal Dreadmort, but a little better. And it has force cycling. So this one I kind of like about a C. I think it's probably the best one we've seen so far. 7/6 trample is just no joke. The other ones didn't have trample. I'd much rather have trample than menace on a big creature, because yeah. because it's not impossible for you to like jump with 2/1 Spine Seeker Centipede, 2 energy for a 2/1. When it enters search level for basic land, reveal it, put it in your hand and shuffle. Delirium gets +1/+2 and has vigilance. Seems decent. I mean, a 2/1 that gets you a land is okay. It's like a Civic Wayfinder, slightly worse, but it does become a 1/2. You can also maybe jump with this, get a creature in your yard, and you still got the land. If this put the land into play, it would be sick, but now it's just a C, I think. I think it's still not great, but I can see playing. But it's a little it's way worse than Skittering Surveyor. Skittering Surveyor is colorless, so this one doesn't help you. If you don't have green mana, this doesn't help you. So it's always a little worse when you have like a land searcher on a colored card. Threats are on every corner. 3 and a green for an enchantment. When it enters to manifest dread. And when a face-down permanent you control enters, search life for basic land, put it on the battlefield, tapped and shuffle. So at worst, this is a 4 mana 2/2 that gives you a land into play. That's okay. And then whenever you do that, from now on, you get a land into play. And getting lands is kind of nice with Manifest Dread because it helps you to flip up expensive cards. I think this card is good. I think that you're going to get enough value of this, but you need a lot of Manifest Dread. If this is only a 2/2 that gives you a land when it comes to play, it's just fine. It's like a Solemn that doesn't draw a card when it's done. But if you got other manifests, I think it's a build around C+. It's not like the most fantastic card, but I could also see like a red-green Delirium deck that has the card that sacrifices an enchantment. You can play this, get the card, put a land into play, then you sacrifice this, you get an enchantment in your yard, you get to play the removal spell for cheap. That could be a thing too. Witching Doll, 1 energy for 2/2, taps to add 1 mana of any color, put a nest counter on this. You can sacrifice it to get a 2/2 spider with reach for each counter on it, but do it only as a sorcery. Seems insane good, because it's a 2 mana dork that does all the things mana dorks does, and then later in the game you can sack this for like 5 or 6 spiders. That also has reach, so this card seems like an A-. If you cast this card on turn 2, your opponent almost has to kill it. Maybe they can wait a little bit, but they can't let this stick around forever. It is only sorcery speed, so there's gonna be some tension. If you got this with 5 counters on, if you got this with 4 counters on it, do you just cash it in, or do you wait and risk your opponent having a removal spell? But I think it's an A-. Seems like it does everything a mana dork does, and it even has relevance when a mana dork wouldn't do anything anymore. Alright, we got Tyver the Pummeler. Pummel that ass. 1 GG 3/3. You can tap another creature you control against indestructible until end of turn, tap it. So you can do that in combat. You can attack, and if your opponent blocks it with the 3/3, you can just save it. You can pay, so it's a threat of activation. You can pay 5 mana creature you control plus X until end of turn where X is greatest power among creatures. Wow, so you can like overrun. You can do that just by paying 5 mana. Seems absurd, seems like an A-. It also can just, if you play this, you don't even have to attack. You can play this, and if you get like 2 creatures, your opponent can never kill this. Because you can tap this another creature even if this is tapped and it still gains indestructible. So this card seems like a nightmare, and it's on an overrun, so it seems like an A. Under the Skin, 2 energy, sorcery, manifest dread, and you may return a permanent card from your graveyard to hand. Now this card seems insane because it's like a 2/2 Eternal Witness. It's like an Eternal Witness. You can't abuse it the way you do Eternal Witness by looping them, but on the flip side you can flip up the manifest card. And you can manifest a permanent into your yard and get that card back if you didn't have anything good before. It seems like a B. Really good 2-for-1. Nothing to be complained about. Valgavov's Onslaught, XX green for a sorcery. You manifest it X times and you put X counters on each of those creatures. Wow, so like for 5 mana, which I think is a very natural way to think about this, you get 2 2/2s that becomes 4/4s. That's just absurd. So for 5 mana you get 2 4/4s, and you can then flip them up maybe. For 3 mana it's still good. For 3 mana, you get a 2/2 that becomes a 3/3 and you can flip it up. So for 3 mana, it's just fine. But for 5 mana, it's absurd. This card seems like an A. And for 7 mana, you get 3 6/6s. Is that right? Yeah. This could actually be an A+. Because it's absurd. It's great on 5 mana. It's insane on 7 mana. I don't care about the 9 mana because I don't even have to, but you can reach 9 mana and then you get 4 6/6s. Anyway, this is an A+, I think. It floods the board with enormous creatures. You're not weak to removal. You have the option of flipping up like a... If one of those cards has trample, they also get to keep the counters when you flip them up. This is one of the best cards in the set, I think. Alright, we have a room. Walk-in closet. 2 energy. You may pay lands from your graveyard. So it's like a crucible. In limited, that's not so good. That's mostly like a cube thing or like a legacy vintage. It's mostly a cube thing these days. But it has Forgotten Cellar 3GG. When you unlock this door, you may cast spells from your graveyard this turn, and if a card will put in your graveyard from anywhere this turn, exile it instead. So it's like a Yawgmoth's Will. I unfortunately don't think this card is good in limited. Yawgmoth's Will for 5 mana is just not good because you're not gonna have the mana to spend. Yes, the first room, if you got some way to put lands in your graveyard, you can build up a lot of mana. But then none of these cards like do anything on their own. You need other stuff and it's expensive. I unfortunately think this is an F. It's a sweet design, but I don't think it works in limited. Very Watchdog honor away for 3/1 when it enters or dies Surveil 1. I think this card is fine. It's a C. It's a card that's understated and doesn't match up well against like the mirror tokens. But you do get Surveil. And when you trade this card for a 3/3, you feel very good because you're getting 2 Surveils out of it. So I think it's a C, almost like a C+, could be. Because Surveil mercs with Delirium as well. Wicked Treasure, 3 energy for 5/4. Delirium, when it attacks, you look at the top card of the library, it's a land card, put it on the battlefield. If you don't put it on the battlefield, put it in your hand. Wow, so it's a 4 mana 5/4 that if you got Delirium, you got to draw a card. Even ramps if it's a land. Seems like a B-. I also like that it's an artifact, so it helps with Delirium if it dies, which your opponent's probably going to have to kill this because once you attack with this once, you are up a card, and a 5/4 for 4 is just good stat. So B-, B, I think, for that card.